Hi guys, David Campanile here, owner of Campanile Law, located in the great state of New Jersey. We do estate planning and probate. As always, if you want to speak estate planning or probate with me, you can contact me at njestateattorney.com. So, I wanted to talk to you about something that is really important actually, and it's what is a living will? I know in previous videos I've touched about it as part of my foundational documents or fundamental documents, but I really wanted to get more into the nitty-gritty about it. So when clients come in, it's usually, David, I just want a will, that's it. And I go, well, hold on, you need these other things. You need a living will. Well, what's a living will? Why is it important? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So a living will is kind of similar to a will, in the fact that in a living will, you're basically dictating to your family what your wishes are when you are incapacitated. Now, incapacitated means you can't make a decision for yourself, you're in a coma. The legal definition is pretty simple, but for all intents and purposes and for our knowledge, it's you can't communicate. There's no way for you to make a decision about what you want done. So in this document, you are alive. With this document, you are alive, and this takes place. And living wills are usually used towards the end of life. It's usually not really your dying wish, what you want done. So in a living will, what you're doing is you're saying, look, I want to be kept alive by any means necessary. I want a feeding tube. I want a ventilator. I want to be kept as a vegetable. You have all those rights. You can in a living will say, I want a ventilator. I want a feeding tube. I want the extreme care to keep me alive. On the other side, you can also say, look, I don't want to be on a feeding tube. I don't want to be on a ventilator. I don't want to be kept alive in a comatose state or as a vegetable. Please, I am telling you to let me go and let me pass. You can also, between those two extremes, you could say, hey, I would like a ventilator, but I don't want a feeding tube, or I want a feeding tube, but I don't want a ventilator. The combinations are endless what we could put in a living will. And basically what you're doing in a living will is you're nominating someone. If you're married, it would most likely be your spouse. You could pick anybody really who you trust to carry out your wishes as outlined in the living will, and to abide by what you're basically saying in this document. Now, these will also be called advanced directives when you go to the hospital. Usually they request these nowadays upon being admitted into the hospital. If you have any advanced medical directive, who is your point of contact? But in your living will, you would supply the hospital staff with this and say, look, here are the wishes. One other note, you could also put in a do not resuscitate, or you'll hear it as DNR. A lot of people, once they quote unquote code out, they don't want to be resuscitated. They just want to go in peace. So you have that option as well. And you've explicitly stated this out. Now you've nominated this person to carry out your wishes, but usually there is no timetable. So you can hold on to hope, but understanding that, hey, if things aren't going to get better in 2 days or 3 days, you really start adhering to this living will or the advanced medical directive. And usually the purpose of this is to take the emotion away from your family, because remember, they're in this state of, they're in shock, they are in awe, they're not really thinking clearly about what may be best for you. They're thinking what's best for them, and everybody thinks what's best for them is to have you around. So you're really taking that decision-making power away from them. And you're saying, look, I have thought about this clearly, I have thought about this, and this is exactly what I want. So I always recommend a living will. It's one document that will be used when you're alive in estate planning. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. As always, my name is David Campanile. I'm the owner of Campanile Law, located in the great state of New Jersey. If you want to talk to me about estate planning or probate, feel free to contact me at njestateattorney.com.